Hold on. All right.
Good to go?
Give me a moment.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the weekly update of the NABLL. What's going on? We got Connor Biggs, and you are one of the Austin Scorpions players.
Yes, how's it going, everybody? Nice to be invited to come on.
Absolutely. So you've got the headset and everything, and we just were talking right as we were getting ready to go live. You've actually got a little bit of experience when it comes to this. You do a little bit of Twitch streaming, you were saying?
Yeah, just a little bit here and there. I like playing video games in my free time, so I have a Twitch channel and all that. I stream a little bit here and there when I have some free time. It's fun. I got a nice big PC I just built. I'm into that stuff. I'm kind of a nerd, but
What'd you
I
build?
it's I can
Like,
kind of
what's
tell you
the
honestly.
yeah?
It's
What do you got for a graphics card in that bad boy?
4090.
Oh
It's kind
man,
of hard. It's kind of hard to show.
yeah.
It's right there. It's all blurry. My
That's
camera's not
that's what,
not the
8 gigs
best.
of RAM
I think I have 16 in it, maybe
in the
32.
GPU.
Oh, in the GPU. I don't know exactly what.
I was the
Sorry, I'm trying to read.
4090. I think is what I've got in my laptop. I want to say it's either 6 or 8 gigs that you have in the processor itself, which is insane when you think about like when I graduated high school in '02, there was no real like dual cores and stuff were just starting to come out. So to think now that like all of our video cards have dual cores and quad cores and like 8 gigs of independent RAM is just it's kind of crazy, really.
Yeah, it's a behemoth. It's huge. I honestly don't. I could have 16 in it honestly, because it's like the newest, biggest thing. But it's since yours is a laptop, it's probably a little less. But mine's like it's like this big, the graphics card,
Oh,
probably.
is it really?
Yeah, it's humongous.
I'm
Three
gonna have to look
fans.
it up now. What did you say it was? The 4090?
Yeah, 4090 gigabyte edition. I don't know. So that's the brand name, Gigabyte.
Holy fuck! Yeah, that's a
Yeah, they're
24 gig. Wow.
24 gig. Oh wow. Yeah, so it's I don't know even know it that well, but
Oh man, yeah. I guess I shouldn't have sworn, but sorry, NABLL. That's
oh,
exciting for me though.
I'm
That's
sorry
a
if I swore too. I
no,
might have.
yeah. That's it. That's ginormous. You could run all kinds of stuff. Next year, you should just bring that to nationals, and we could have a wicked sweet stream with both of them running.
Oh yeah.
You
Heck
could
yeah.
you could run yours on the scorekeeper side, and I'll run mine on the opposite side, and you could just send it across the way, man. That
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
sweet
We
setup.
could even do like two separate streams or something if it's easier, so it's not all in the same stream. I don't even know if that's easier or not, but
Well, actually, with multiple rinks, we could have done that. So all you got to do is make nationals next year, and
oh, I think we can do it.
as long as you bring the tower, I'll supply everything else. We'll get it hooked up. So you heard it here first. We're gonna have multiple rink streams next year at nationals, as long as we can get the Austin Scorpions in there. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little lacrosse now. Then we are
Yeah.
definitely
Let's
probably
get
gonna
into
get
it.
back on the gaming spot. So you kind of gave me the rundown. You've been playing lacrosse for a while, like since you were younger is when you started playing, but
Yeah,
field
I like to
lacrosse.
say my whole life really. Like I was born with a stick in my hand pretty much. My dad started when he was 28. So that's kind of, and then I was born like right when he started ish. I was born when he was 28. So it's right around the same time. And he would go up to the Vale shootout every year and play with some of those older guys. I forgot which team exactly he started on, but now he plays on the what are they called? I forget the name. There's so many. He plays on so many different teams
Yeah,
and
there's
that
club
stuff. But
teams and everything all over the place too. So he's playing like the club thing, but he's playing field or
yeah, he plays field mostly. He's not really. He's played box a couple times, but he's a field player. He's in the 60 and up group now, so he's playing, but he's just puttering along at this point. Not in any rude way, but it's he wants to keep his body healthy.
yeah, he's more in like the
Oh, you might have
Masters.
got muted.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. It's because my camera kicked on, so I was trying to shut that mic off. But the Masters, and that's fun. You go out there with the gloves and the stick and helmet.
Yeah, and they just kind of whack each other
Yeah,
over and over again. It's really cool to see though the level of play that he still gets to play at. Like he'll do ULAX with us on the weekends, like he just played last weekend. I haven't done ULAX this go around because I've had so much going on with work and scorpions and stuff. I've kind of been focusing my attention on them.
Gotcha. So, I mean, when was it that you started playing box? Because you said you've been playing lacrosse your whole life, but you born and raised in Austin?
Yeah, born and raised in Austin, Texas, and that's really we. So it's kind of weird. I would say I was introduced to like the box realm in high school. We played on this really small indoor field, but it was like that's just what we had, and we just played normal lacrosse on it, and it was a similar kind of vibe. So that's kind of what got me interested into it, like wanting to try it. But it was just a 3v3 with a goalie, like half court, basically, when we did that in
I
high
tell
school.
you,
And
that's
then,
fun though. We used to do that with hockey all the time. We play 3-on-3 tournaments, and you can pick up a lot of skills because 3-on-3, even though it's a smaller rink, I mean, you don't want to run that often. You're making some long passes.
oh yeah, and it's in the what's it called? Like the risk of like trying to dodge into someone like right there made you like really field aware, I would say. In a way, I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to super dissect it, but that's why we would play 3v3 rather than just like running drills or shooting drills or something, so we can get more field awareness and where we're running and where
Well,
we're.
for the defense too, having to cut the slides down, like it really it makes slide position and stuff, and you can spread it out because with only three guys, it's kind of hard to clog it up with an extra guy in the middle that can kind of get lost. Like on, with a regular field defense, you can kind of leave a zone guy in the middle and then kind of pick guys up and
Kind of cheat, yeah.
yeah, and where 3-on-3, it's really kind of hard to do that because if you play your spacing right, and like you said, you get that field awareness, kind of know where you're going and how. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Plus, for the defenseman though, is you really got to stay in the passing lanes and work on trying to knock the ball down versus trying to cover that whole distance.
Yeah, I remember getting caught. Like you can't be getting caught ball watching either because you can get cut in so easily, and the passes are just so close. With it being a half court, you can just get it, just pick it and go. Those one touches.
Yeah, so you guys were playing with, I'm guessing, field goalies.
Yeah, yeah. It was more so a bloodbath for them because we would just be like 5 feet, 5 and 5, just ripping on them.
Just crease ripping on them and just yeah, it's
And
just
yeah, that was where we would use we called him Hector. Obviously, I think everyone calls it Hector, the protector, like one of the fake goalies.
yeah.
We'd have him in there a lot.
Yeah, the shooter tutor or Hector, yeah. The
Yeah, but as far as box, like real official box, it was 3 years ago when the Scorpions got founded. Like whenever the team got created, is when I really first started playing. I got my bell rung a couple times, not really realizing all those picks that can come, or the I guess moving picks or whatever you want to call them, that are legal. And you learn to get your head over your shoulder a lot quicker.
yeah, well, you learn to get your head over your shoulder a lot quicker, and like you said though, just that as the communication from your teammates. Now, this guy, were you playing with a lot of these guys in field, or did you had not played a lot of field when
Uh,
the Scorpions
yeah,
started?
I would say a lot of us actually played at Texas State together for the most part. Our first year, we had a decent amount of guys from state who play. We've been playing together ever since we met in college, and some of those guys being Sean Burns, Don Pizzuti. Um, I don't think George went to state, but George Sheftel, I played with him I played against him in high school. So a lot of these guys, we all kind of grew up to against playing against each other. Sorry, I'm blabbering, but we kind of all been playing in men's league and all this kind of stuff. So we knew each other, played against each other, played with each other for the past few years before Scorpions, and it's been exciting getting to play with a lot of the guys who I played against in men's league and seeing like, oh shit, they're actually really nice guys and stuff. I don't know if anyone else has felt that, but like you kind of get to not hate everybody and you kind of get to be on the same side with things like this where it's like a bunch of guys coming together on a different team, like a brand new league, new team. It's very exciting. It's
Yeah,
been very exciting, and I hope it keeps growing because
yeah,
we've gotten a lot of new guys over the past 2 years as well, and a few of our guys who have played with us, actually one in particular, Jackson Rose, who played with us in nationals, is going on to play in the professional level, which is very exciting for us to have him a part of the program, or have been a part of the program, I should say.
Yeah, is this his first year with you guys or?
Yeah, I think he had played in a couple games prior, or like at a tournament or two. I can't remember exactly which games it was, but he's always been around, and he just finished college, so he came to nationals with us to kind of get his stick warm for training camp with the Panther City um,
Yeah.
Panthers, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Panther City. I know what you mean down there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be that's so cool though to get to have that experience and to get to play with guys that are now like in contention at training camp. And actually, so the Seattle Kings goalie, we just went and filmed a scrimmage. It was Team USA versus the Utica Yeti. Well, unfortunately,
Hmm.
we can't play the whole stream, but I dropped a bunch of the highlights. And so Dave Mather plays for the Kings. He's one of the Team USA goalies. They had
Oh yeah.
another one of the Team USA goalies played for the Yeti. So I mean, there's a lot of top level talent that's
Hmm.
in that league. Now, when you guys formed this, did it start as you guys forming like a small house league, or did you guys just start like, okay, let's go sign up for some tournaments?
Getting into it, I wasn't a lot. I guess as involved as I am now with like the executive decisions and stuff like that. So when we first started it, I kind of just was playing, and I don't really know what direction they were taking it. But now it's become more of like I don't know what kind of direction we want to take it or what we kind of expect from it, but we're just having fun and we're loving being able to. We want to be able to go to more tournaments, but the problem with that is getting consistent guys to come out because a lot of our guys, not a lot of our guys, but some of our guys just have started families or they're still in school, and so that's something that we've been really trying to fine tune is getting that what's the word, a full attendance team at these tournaments of consistent guys who we know can show up and have the time to, the money to, it's hard to commit a full team to all these tournaments that we want to go to. So I would say that we expected more when we got into it, but now we're kind of feeling our groove, figuring out what we're kind of good at. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, what
we
works
like,
for you guys? You kind of
yeah,
figuring
well, we
out like,
liked what we did this past year with the traveling and doing the 3 games for our division in every state or city. I'm sorry. That was much better than only traveling to Louisiana for 1 game or whatever. For example, like went there, played Dallas, they played each other, and we also played the Mamba. So it was killing 3 birds with 1 stone, which is way better and way easier to get guys out there. And I liked how we got to play it like that this year rather than the previous years traveling for 1 game or whatever it was.
now would you guys play like what was it, like a round robin style? So like you would play one team, then the other team would play, and then all three of you would play, so you'd play the last team afterwards?
Yeah, exactly. And so since we only have those teams in our division, it is easy to do that. But and that's something we also have, I think, been reaching out to a team in Houston who possibly join our division, which would make things a lot more fun and have more competition. I would say that's the biggest downfall that we've experienced is just like getting tired of playing the same team 3 times over and over again. Because you kind of, I don't want to sound negative, but it's just you get excited playing seeing new people, playing new faces, and that was the best part about nationals is getting to see all that new competition and going against those guys who we've heard about and seen on Instagram. It's it's nice seeing those faces, new faces, I should say.
Yeah, no, I, don't know, I love getting to see that. I love seeing it grow. Where we are, fortunately, we have two divisions that basically have less drive between the farthest spot in those two divisions than you guys have to your closest, home game.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird, but like you said, if it'll grow. You got other teams in Houston and kind of. Do you guys do pickup nights down there? Do you guys do strict
Yeah, yeah.
practices
We
or?
we do some pickup. We kind of been taking a break because just like a kind of off season, people doing their own thing. But we were doing pickups on Wednesday nights out where we have our games, and it was actually going really really well. We had a lot of turnout, and then people a lot of guys had to go back to school or jobs started back up. Well, I feel like the biggest thing was kids going back to school because we had a lot of young guys coming out to pick up who were trying to learn box or haven't really played a lot of box. And so it was really, really fun getting to teach them. And expose them to that kind of realm of the sport, because a lot of them just play field in college, and you could tell because a lot of them were coming out with those tiny elbow pads and then getting mad because they're getting cross checked, and it's like one of those things where you kind of gotta, hey, hey, we're playing box. This is what we're
Go
here
get
to
some
do.
rib guards.
Yeah, you gotta come prepared. And so that happened a lot, but it's fun because I got to see actually like two of my old high school coaches came out to pick up, and they at first they didn't even recognize me. They were like, "Dang man, you really grown up," and they're still ripping it out there. They actually both went to Texas A&M and played, um, and it's really good to see old faces out there. That's the best part about the pickup. And one of the coaches is Billy Keller. He's like, man, I used to be able to keep up with you young guys. I feel my age getting on me. And he mentioned the rib pads. He's like, yeah, I went and bought a pair of rib pads after the first week. But
Yeah,
that's been really, really fun because it's super lax. The classic throw your stick in the middle, toss them to the side. It's just
I think
classic
that's the
pickup.
best way to do it. So it sounds
Uh
like
huh.
you guys definitely like the rule change this year where they wrap the season up before the college guys have to go back for the most part
Oh
to,
yeah,
to kind
one
of
hundred
benefit.
percent.
Yeah, so you guys, I mean, you're talking a very noticeable difference in your pickup nights.
Yeah, I would say a dramatic difference. Like one of the first weeks we had it in the summer, it was like 20 extra. I mean, that might be a little dramatic, but like there was 15 to 20 people that weren't signed up, that were just invited by their friends or had never played lacrosse before. Like we had several guys who had never touched a lacrosse stick before come out to pick up, which is exciting. And a lot of guys who they've heard about the box and scared to play, they finally played, and yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the sport grow and be a part of the program who's helping that make that happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's always the guys that can volunteer the time. It's such a pain in the ass, but without GMs and guys that are putting in the time. Now, what do you guys play on? Do you guys play outdoors, indoors? Is it sport court, cement?
So it's a what is the name of it? It's called the Crossover here in right in where was we Cedar Park area. I would say right off 183. I know no one's gonna know that, but it's a nice big, it's a hockey rink mostly with like an outdoor bar with beach volleyball. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. But we're way back in the back of the building with a little turf field that they do a lot of soccer, like indoor soccer stuff on, but we go in on the nights that we are uh allowed to have it, or whenever we rent it out or whatever. We go and play it. Oh, I can't tell you the dimensions, but it's like an average box style field with some turf.
So it's like the size of a hockey rink, but is it
Yeah,
got
yeah,
rounded boards?
yeah. Rounded, taller boards,
So
except for by the
similar to like
benches.
nationals?
Yeah, very similar to nationals. Yes,
Yeah, so yeah,
but
there's
I would say that is it was like that, but the two rinks, or two of the three rinks at nationals were ice rinks, and then we are like the last rink that's turf. Like that's how it's set up for us, kind of.
yeah, so that way like
It's super cold. It's very nice. You get to not really get too hot playing indoors.
that's what's cool about the Nexus Center. They're doing the Lax Night tournament there this weekend. That's why I got
Oh,
this thing
nice.
behind me. But there's three rinks there, and then they've got the big one, which is the Odd or the Nexus Center, or no, that's the what is it? The Adirondack Bank Center now, I think is what it's called. We always called it the War Memorial. You ever seen the movie Slapshot?
I don't. I can't say I have. I don't think so.
It's like a cult classic hockey movie, 70s Paul Newman old movie. But they filmed one of the scenes there. So if you actually, you could probably YouTube it. It's the
Yeah.
fight scene where if you type in the Chiefs with the Hanson brothers and they go into the stands, they filmed it at the War Memorial or the Odd. But it's all about like basically the debauchery that is minor league hockey. It's basically like the NABLL with except for guys are actually doing it full time instead of just on the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I just typed it in. I have it. I'll watch it whenever we're not
Yeah,
live.
no,
I
it's
don't know
a
if audio is gonna play through my computer or not.
yeah, the it, it
It's.
it it's a cult classic, but it's cool. But what I was saying is they play where there's ice rinks, and what a difference that makes is it's
Hmm.
so much better for the players because everybody you're not fighting that as well. I mean, there is something I guess romantic about the guys that play in the hockey rinks in the summer up here, but it still gets hot. I can't imagine what it must get like down there where you guys are.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could put it into words, but it's actually starting to cool off. But I mean, we had, what was it, 2 or 3 months straight of like 100 degree weather every day. And but we don't really feel that when we're playing. It's more so like on the field, like on days where we're playing field or whatever. We don't ever play outdoor box down here. One, there's not really facilities for it, and then two, we don't really want to kill ourselves with heat exhaustion, you know.
Yeah.
But that was actually something when we went down to Louisiana this year and played the Mamba and Dallas down at the, can't remember what that facility was called. We had a couple guys. I know the Mamba goalie went down and with heat exhaustion. They didn't have AC in their buildings, and that was insane. Like we had guys after the game throwing up, could barely like walk, heat exhausted, just a bunch of crazy stuff. So it's definitely a factor when it comes to
I could
playing
imagine
indoors,
New
making sure
Orleans
there's
is.
cool weather or cool
Oh,
AC.
yeah, that's got to be pretty brutal. I mean, it gets
Oh, it was a
brutal up
swamp. It was
here.
an indoor. It was a swamp inside of a swamp with no circulating air. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it.
I've heard a couple things. I don't know what the rumor is about the Mamba, but I've heard they might not be a program anymore after this year.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll see. He was gonna get on the podcast with me early, and then I never heard back from him. So we'll see what's going on with that. But now,
Yeah, I'm
h-
not sure, but hopefully we still have a team to play next year. It'd be a
how
bummer to only have
far? Oh yeah, how far is Dallas from you guys? Is that eight
from
hours?
no, Dallas, Austin to Dallas is like 3 hours, 3.5.
Oh, so
We
that's
played
not
up in
terrible.
Denton. Yeah, we played up in Denton, which is a little north of Dallas. So it was like 3.5, 3 hours, 45 minutes, I think. But we have a bunch of guys we know up there who are from there, and they came and watched, and we got to hang out with them, and we all had a good time seeing Mamba come up. And it was unfortunate that they couldn't get a full team, but it was nice seeing them there.
Yeah. No, and I would imagine with the size of Dallas, so and if you guys are having that much success with your open floor nights, that you guys will be picking up more teams. And Dallas is a big city, Houston's a big city,
Yeah,
Austin.
I've got a couple friends up there who play, and I run a couple of men's league teams up there, and I've been trying to haggle them to get another box team because it's so big, like you said. But they barely get enough guys to show up for their one team. So I think it's a matter of interest as far as box goes, because a lot of guys just, I think, don't want to risk injury or don't have the money or whatever it is, don't have the time. And I think that's kind of the key issue, is trying to find guys who can commit the time.
Yeah, it's tough to find the kids that are, really digging it because you get a guy who's like, I can go shoot on a field goalie and rip my, 15-yard shots all day and hope to
Hmm.
get, at least, a couple out of the 10 bounce shots are going to go in versus if I don't have a good position or learn to shoot away from my body and to pick those small pockets. It definitely takes a unique player, but I mean, that's why you see so many of these Canadian players taking US spots. I mean, look at
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, you could go on forever naming guys, but that's the what did you find when you first switched to box was the biggest adjustment for you?
Um, I've grew up always playing offense, and now I'm like a tranny D guy. Like I'm much more of a defensive player because of the lack of practice, one, shooting and being on that offensive side. But it's such a different game offensively than you think. I grew up, I'm a midfielder on field, playing field, so it's like I'm used to dodging and running into space and having room to pass to another guy who's going to shoot. Like, but this is really like grinding, and I don't know how to describe. I've never really talked about it or thought about it, but it's more so like the grindiness of the offense is a much different game, and I think is more um, aggressive than I'm used to, I guess, going into it. And I just also really love the defensive aspect of box, like being able to just kind of brutally hit each other and like really feel it is kind of the biggest thing for me on defense that I noticed. That I enjoyed versus field where you can just get roasted and you just get left out in the open, and it's more embarrassing because you can kind of get some help in boxing. It's easier to not get beat, I would say. I know I'm just kind of rambling, but I've never thought about this. And why I like it so much. But the biggest thing for me was the lack of knowledge on offense and being able to only keep it in one hand because I love switching hands and a lot of things of keeping like staying in your spot, like staying on your side, your left side or right side on offense, and always setting those picks and sealing your man. I mean, there's so many things that I've learned over the past 3 years that I had no idea were a thing, especially like seals and moving picks. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah. Did you play basketball at all?
A little bit that's something that like when I first got into it, my dad would be on the sidelines telling me because he grew up playing basketball, and so he was like, "Just set your picks, do that." Like I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying." These guys are running through me because they can, and that's something. Uh, I guess I kind of realized too is like you got to kind of get a little beefy. I was always kind of a real skinny kid growing up, didn't have a lot of meat on the bones, and so that was something I learned too is you got to go hit the gym. And so I can put on a few pounds after the first year playing. But I think a lot of it is the physicality for me. Getting down to the basics is the physicality. Pace of play is really intense too. As far as like those transitions, you cannot miss a beat in box with this as field. You can kind of if you got a fast guy on your team, you can kind of recover. You know.
Yeah, no, especially on the transition. That's the thing with box too, is there's so many more intricacies to it. So like on field, you have the same number of guys that you're going to have, and you've got maybe one or two guys that'll transfer out through the small box. But whereas like just the knowledge of the shift change and knowing that like certain guys, as soon as they hear the shot, are going on the break already, and
Yeah, and
knowing
like
like
who's
those.
going box side, who's not, who's going away from the box. That was something that we actually had to kind of practice a lot about is guys sending the ball towards the box where you're just going to get instantly uh swept on. I can't think of
Either
the
run
word.
over or they just,
Yeah.
strangle you out and suffocate you because you've given yourself no field left, essentially. Yeah.
hmm well, and then something that we kept running into, I think at nationals, and then just like leading up to nationals, we were or kind of talking to our guys a lot about is making sure we don't send everybody on a transition like or on a sub, like can't do four or more.
Yeah, no, and that's where like when you were talking about I know quite a few guys who played offense, and it's funny, goalies who will come out and play, but just playing that style of defense where you know how to get up the floor, but like you said, you don't necessarily want to be on the grind, but you got to assume you've got one or two guys that are gonna be like having to stay on the floor and then rotate off kind of like hockey style.
Yeah, like tranny guys,
Yeah.
transition. We call them trannies. I know it's a kind of a confusing term nowadays, but transition guys. Um, definitely, that's something that we excel in. I think is we have a lot of good transition midfielder kind of guys. I mean, that's kind of something we need to get better on, though, is making sure that we get those guys off the field. Like they're good at getting the ball over, but they want to stay on. I mean, I'm me being one of them. They want to stay on, and we got to get those offensive guys. And that's something with our team is learning all those, like you say, the intricacies of the transition game and like knowing, oh, once you get that ball over, we have 20 seconds to get our offense on and run the play, basically, and or take a shot and get lucky that we get a reset.
Yeah, and that time goes way faster than you think, but like you
So
said,
much faster.
it's just learning how to like cycle guys in and off the bench. Now, as far as like box lacrosse knowledge, did you guys get lucky and have somebody who like had an experience or came from a box lacrosse background, or were you guys literally just like YouTubing videos and watching games
Yeah.
and
So
going?
our main goalie, who's actually out with a torn ACL, unfortunately, or I can't if it was ACL or MCL, but he's out with a hurt knee. Unfortunately, our starting goalie, Chris O'Quain, I think he played at a professional level at some point. I wish I knew exactly, and I meant to have notes in front of me, but yeah, he kind of is our ringleader, and if we had to give someone a coach position or something like that, he kind of coaches us and has all that box knowledge that we need. And also Billy Gurkey, I forgot how you pronounce his last name, but he uh he came with us to nationals and he played with us all year. He originally can't remember where he played, but he played in the league on another team, and he has a crazy amount of offensive box knowledge. And so with those two guys kind of being the two leaders offensively and defensively, we had not nothing, but not the best. I'm not trying to discredit them, but we could have knew a lot more, like having somebody who's played their whole life or something, because we would play a lot of field out there, I would say. But
Yeah.
that's just because that's all we had. It's a lot of guys who grew up playing field.
No, that is, I mean, like you said, you use what you got if that's what you got, and when you look at teams like the Wild though, because a lot of these up north teams, they are all, oh, you got to be a bunch of lifelong box players if you want to win. But I mean, you look at the Wild, and really, stick skills surpass a lot of athleticism. And I mean, they're a
Mhm.
fast team too, and they've got a bunch of guys that grind for the ball. But I think like their biggest strength is they pass in these tiny little windows and they hit everybody where they're supposed to be, and they make your defense make a mistake. They'll just run you ragged. They're just
Yep, be
constantly psych
constantly moving it.
way out too, like not even close. Like they're making 15, 20-yard passes, which is pretty much the width of the floor there.
Well, and
And
it's funny you say that. As I'm thinking about it at nationals, even when we played against them, they were really good about keeping that guy kind of cherry picking almost, and like you said, just making the ball do the work, and they don't have to run. Just they just pass the ball. The ball is always going to move faster than your feet. Is what I was taught growing up. So why try to run that coast to coast when you can just toss the ball and get it to the guy who's wide open? And
yeah,
that's something that I think they took advantage of greatly. And then they did have that, I can't remember his number, but that guy who did a backflip off the side of the
Spencer
wall.
Love, yeah.
Yeah, Spencer Love. He's a freak athlete. I mean, when you have guys like that, you're definitely going to be able to make those crazy passes to those guys who are going to get to the ball as well. And nothing but love to those guys because they really deserve the win. They put in a lot of effort, and you can
Yeah.
tell that they really
Well,
grind
they've got a
off
good
the field.
combination with guys too that they've got some, Tenney grew up playing in Canada, the box experience. Custer's their goalie's been playing for a while, like you said, but
Hmm.
hitting those line changes and stuff, that's the kind of those long passes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you summed it up. They tell every little kid that. You said they always teach you growing up, and that really is true. They always tell you that. And really, you see the Wild, and when you look through the Wild's, I was checking their bracket out earlier, and really the Reapers too. They kept it closest to them through those final bracket games. And the Reapers is another one of those teams too that like nobody talks about them because they haven't made it to the finals of it. But really every year, I mean they lose to the Wild, or I think both years now they've lost to the Wild, or maybe they lost to the Northmen. But either way, they're losing to amazing teams. I mean, just to get into the Nationals, pretty much every team out there can win. It's crazy. How did you feel about the way your team performed out there, and you personally, like what did you feel you stacked up compared to a lot of those guys out there?
Um, I think it was something as far as national is concerned is the time of play. That was something that because we've always been kind of a later like second half kind of team. I've noticed. So that was something like right when we got our momentum going, the game was over against especially the Wild. Like we felt like we could have, if we had another two periods, we could have really put it on them. And that's not something to like really dissect or anything because like we definitely got beat, but that's something that I remember saying right off the bat. I was like, man, I wish we had just one more period or two more periods to really kind of test out and see if it's us or them. And that was the first thing. And then the second thing is just the amount of guys that we thought were going to be there and talent wise that could actually make it is we kind of had a few guys I don't want to say drop the ball, but just not show up last second or just something came up. So that was another thing that as with nationals was kind of a bummer. And I think a lot of guys who were there were disappointed in their own performance. Me being one of them. I wish I could have played a lot harder. And I also want to say that I think we left it all out there, and we could have made a lot better decisions as far as I think we got a few penalties we shouldn't have got, and you can go back and think of all the bad things, but I think we put it all out there, and there's always next year, and I think we'll prove ourselves every year after that. I think we're just getting better and better every year.
Yeah, no, I mean it absolutely. I mean it's tough though. Like you said, you drew the Wild. The Wild though, like even when you look at what they did, I mean Seattle Kings playing great right now. They've got a goalie playing for Team USA, and they scored 17.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that Wild
What-
team is just nasty. I mean, and they got 12 against against the Spirits team, and that Spirits team legit has an NLL like Hall of Fame, and then their other guy he's in 8 or 9 Hall of Fames. Alex Cook's father, Travis. I mean, they
Yeah.
have like just next level, and that's where those game lengths. I mean, we talked about it with Jobson last week. It'd be nice if the tournament could last a full week, like the President's Cup, where they get to play the full games. But yeah, it is tough to get out there, get yourself fired up because a lot of teams, like you said, especially you guys, if you're learning the game, but you're all good athletes and you figure it out quick, you're like, okay, this is what this team's doing. What are we gonna do to change it?
Yeah, I think that's something we excel in, and that was like the negative side of those quick games. But you can always hindsight's 50-50 when you really look at it. You can always talk about what if, I don't want to sit here and
Yeah,
be like,
no,
yeah, I really wish we had those extra quarters, but it is what it is.
no, it is, and that's all part of learning to deal with the nationals. I talk about it all the time because you almost need two teams. You need a team that's built for your regular lacrosse regular season where you guys play your 4 quarters, stop time. Some now when you guys play your round robin tournament, do you guys play stop time or running time?
It's kind of I think we normally do like running quarters or yeah, we like I'm trying to think of what we do on those pickups. I think we just do 4 15-minute running quarters, and then usually we like run a fifth on the pickup days. But on the tournaments, I think we just did regulation time, but then if people, I mean, I think we had a game against the Mamba where we ended it early because of that heat exhaustion stuff. But we were doing full 12-minute quarters, stopping, I think. And then uh when we got to nationals, we were like, let's just keep it 8 minutes when we were trying to just get the games over with. I don't know. I'm getting confused on what we did for every round robin, but I think it was for just regular time, just regulation time.
Yeah, regular time because it seems that's what most teams do. And then when they get out there to nationals, it's always like you know, you got to go, and it's so hard. How long did it take you guys? Did you drive or fly?
Most of us flew. I think a car full of guys drove, and it was like 26 hours for them or something like that. I think I could be off a couple hours, but a lot of us flew in, and it was not that bad. I think it was 2.5 hours one way, and then we stopped somewhere, I think in Denver, and then flew the rest of the way. That was my flight at least.
Yeah,
But
that's not.
yeah, it was nice. I think going into it next year, we're really gonna kind of commit to making sure we have every guy there, and that is saying they're gonna be there and not have any excuses, and really come out aggressive in the first quarter and stuff. Because I think we're probably gonna not have to rely on those fourth quarters like we do in our regular season, because that actually saved us, thinking about it, a couple of games where we had to come back in the second half, but we always got a nice lead at the end of the games.
Yeah, and that's something that it's tough to do, especially in those short games. That's the Scott that was talking to me about the Wild. He said that when they play, that's kind of what happens to them all the time. Is everybody gets and it's like, okay, well they got one, well they got two, and it's just so hard to catch back up because they don't ever seem to not be able to score goals.
And they rarely let them in. The keeper does not let anything get
Yeah,
by him unless you make it happen.
no, they've got a
If you,
big bunch of. Everybody likes to talk about their offense too, but their defense, I tell you, I mean, they've got a big bunch of bruisers in the back there that'll push guys
oh
out.
yeah,
They're making everybody shoot from the out. It's not. I mean, yes, Custer is great and he does play great, and I do love the fact that he is the only goalie to truly win the NABLL trophy now twice. But he gets a lot of help from those defensemen, and the other thing is they do really good at that transition. I think it's really underrated how well they transition because a lot of people are like, well, the transition goals, they might get one or two. But more than that is that IQ and, like you said, the experience to know when you get up there and when to get off the floor, or if you should get off the floor, or if you're in a position that you should stay on the floor and kind of rotate in. And it's really nothing you can learn besides with experience.
yeah, I think that's exactly right, and that's where we need to really maybe bring somebody on, or reach out to somebody who's willing to really fine tune our box knowledge and teach us a lot more. Or maybe it's one of us needs to just sit down and research it. But like you said, experience trumps all, and that's something with being in Texas and not being around the sport, like the box lacrosse sport for so long. Like there's no one here we can really reach out to, and that's what we've kind of found is we got to just kind of learn it ourselves, and we're learning the hard way rather than at practice or something,
Yeah, no,
learning it at nationals.
yeah, it is tough. And actually, um, Tony Gray, he's one of the board members.
I've heard the name. I don't think I've ever met him or know him.
Him and Rich do the Golden Bears, but they do because he played for the Haudenosaunee Nationals and college and everywhere. But
Okay.
he actually does like clinics consulting essentially is Piranha
Oh, really?
Lax. Yeah, so if you actually get a hold of him, he's got pre-done drills and all kinds of stuff like that. It's Tony Gray.
Oh,
Piranha
Tony Gray.
Lax
Okay.
is his Instagram handle. But yeah, no, they really and Tony, I mean, he's from Akwesasne. He's legit. You're not going to learn from a lot of better, there's not a lot of better options out there essentially
Wow.
if
Yeah, that I'll have to bring that up to the board and see if we can get him out.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
that'd
because
be
like
interesting to have a clinic too with the guys because we've had practices and done stuff like that, but having a clinic out there where we're being taught by somebody who's not even a part of the program would be very interesting because I feel like a lot of guys would
well,
be
it gives
I
you a
don't know.
different perspective just
Yeah.
because he's been there and whether or not you're going to adopt all the policies, it at least gives you the option to look at them and see. And because more than that is like you're at the age now where he's not going to come draw two or three plays and you're going to be like, okay, we're going to run these because if you just try to run those, they're going to teach you. He's going to teach you the philosophy behind why you're picking. So like a lot of things I've picked up from these guys is like the bumping guys out and what they consider important for the angle and defensive position. I actually just did a seminar with Tony Sorcy. He's the Yetis coach, but he's also
Okay.
the women's team USA or the women's USA box coach. So I mean, it's
Okay.
yeah, they a lot of these guys have like they're all college and international coaches. So that's why it's so tough, and I find it so impressive when teams like you or even like the Wild who don't have a coach, but like just having the knowledge, you'll see a couple of their players jump up and having that experience and listening to each other. But the way each team does it and every division is so different. It's kind of it's cool. It's like everybody's like your own private entity, and then you just meet at the end of the year, and it's like, all right, let's see whose brand has got the best because everybody's got their own flavor.
Yeah, it'd be fun if they made the toilet bracket at nationals more of a beer drinking bracket. If we could make it because then we might win.
Well,
But no, that's definitely something that we're excited about is getting to learn more and growing our knowledge of the sport and not just thinking we're some good team in Texas because we beat everybody. Like we really compared to a lot of the guys in our teams in the league, we really shouldn't be playing against them. Like, and as far as a knowledge standpoint, but because, like you said, I think we have that athleticism and that heart and that grit
Well,
that
plus
we're
you
able
guys
to.
have 3 years now, whereas
Mhm.
Dallas, I got a chance to talk to their GM there, and he said like, they basically played like you did when you were playing 3-on-3. So now they're starting to get to the point where they've got enough guys. So their
Mhm.
3-year starting point really was this year. I mean, think about what your first year team would have been compared to what you guys were this year.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. It would be a dramatic difference, especially with just the pace of play. When our first, like we were getting turnovers all the time because of the shot clock. I remember our first year, and so that's something. I mean, that's something Dallas. I don't know if they had a problem with it, but they I think have a issue with this number of guys they have. I don't know how many guys are committed to them coming out, but I feel like we had a lot more numbers than they did, and
Yeah,
so that could be
it's
an issue on their
well,
end.
and it's tough too because you're first, like you said, as you rotate young guys in, you'll bring, 5, 6 guys in for tryouts, and even if you get lucky, you get 10. You're probably only going to get two, maybe three. So it really takes you, 3, 4 years before you start building, unless you come with a huge group of young 20, like if you can get into a JUCO college or any like like Division 3 college where you've got a bunch of studs that want to like are hungry about it and will put the time in, that's where you really get that benefit of like you talked about when you have a bunch of hungry guys competing with each other and then having fun at pickup. But I mean, honestly, pickup, you probably see some of the coolest goals you've ever seen because there's no pressure, right?
Oh yeah, easily, and everyone's there to have fun too. Like that's I think part of it, and that and, I don't know and what I was going with that, but I think that's part of the fun about this is that everyone's like we're not out here getting paid in the NABLL. You're like we're out here to have fun and enjoy the sport, and that's something I noticed at nationals is like nothing ever got out of hand like chippy wise or like everyone's kind of respectful and like yeah we're gonna out here like we're gonna compete, but we're not gonna try to send anyone to the hospital or ruin
Yeah,
their
guys are like you go into the boards hard, you could literally see guys trying to pull up. It wasn't like guys following
yeah
through. Yeah.
exactly
No, it was. I think the NABLL does a great job. So you guys made it to the. You didn't go to nationals last year,
no.
but essentially, as your first year going, and you'd like to think you're going back, what do you think? I mean, I'm guessing now just from listening to you, it sounds like experience and box IQ is kind of what you guys, because you guys did have a ton of stud athletes. I mean, I was impressed with how fast up and down the floor you were, and in that,
We got a lot of great guys who I think most of them plan on coming back, which is exciting. And I'd like to agree and say like yeah, we need to get our box knowledge, but a lot of it is we need to, I think, spend more time in the off season and like really figure out what kind of what's the word? Like what
team
kind of
identity.
style of play or whatever. Like what are we going to be known for? Like are we going to have a really good offense? Are we going to be a defensive heavy team? Because right now that's kind of where we're leaning. We have a pretty good offense, but we're really um missing that
Defense.
like that hardcore defense like those big guys. We don't have a lot of those big guys that we need. But we rely on our goalie a lot and just getting lucky with
Well, you guys did have some great. I mean, you had two good goalies out at nationals, so I mean, I
yeah,
was
yeah. Well, I'm just thinking mostly of Chris because he's hurt and we're kind of missing him a lot. But I think this year is going to be a big year for us of kind of defining of who we are. If we're gonna kind of stay that kind of mediocre Austin, Texas team, or if we're gonna really reach that next level and become more of a powerhouse in the NABLO.
Yeah. No, I mean, and like you said, it's easy to kind of if you guys just keep trying to pick off teams that instead of making it grow and like you said trying to get more teams because even if your pickup leagues are really that big, you might even eventually have two Austin teams. I mean, essentially.
I think that it's been discussed briefly, like not like any sort of serious conversations, but someone talked about like, what if we just started like or did like an A and a B team kind of, or like just and then it started with that, and then it was like, well, we just need a whole nother team possibly, and so it's just one of those things that we haven't really discussed
Well,
a
I
whole
know
lot, but
like some of the teams because of where we are it's so close that a lot of teams after they do like they'll have everybody come and they do cuts where they don't actually cut anybody they'll just tell you hey you're not probably going to make the game day roster but you're welcome to come to open floor nights like I have not heard of any of these teams that shut anybody off as far as like no you're not we don't let anybody come to practice or anything like that and I think
yeah,
that's
we've
really
never really been that kind. I don't think we've ever told anyone they're not a part of the team. I think anyone who really came to tryouts was affiliated or was able to join the team and or
right.
uh, a dog's running in here. But he um he's fine. The what was I saying? Sorry, I got distracted. Oh, I think that sorry, I
No,
totally
it's
lost my train of thought.
I was saying because essentially they're teams with the rosters like that. So essentially,
Oh
if you
yeah,
guys have
we've never had
30,
anybody.
you bring like
Yeah,
six guys to Dallas, and you're like, okay, yes, I know. Okay, Dallas, here's six guys you guys can have because like if they're short on guys essentially. I've seen teams do it like I've seen the Yetis tell guys, hey, you can't, maybe you won't, and then I see this guy at Nationals playing for another team, and it was just, it's so cool to see the way that it kind of works out.
yeah. I think that what team was he on? There's a guy who was played for us the first year or two, and I saw him out at nationals on another team because he moved and he was playing with them, and so it was cool to see that like, oh yeah, he actually got to stay, and we were playing. We didn't get to play against him unfortunately, but I think that aspect of it, we could definitely maybe have some guys like not play and just like you said, I'm gonna open floor nights if, as far as that subject. But we've never really talked about like kicking guys off or anything. I don't know where to go with
No,
that, but
like you said, that's the way to do it. I just didn't know if you guys get that close on roster spots on game days where you'd have to be like, hey,
oh well, no, more, it's more of a commitment issue, I think, of like who can actually make it, and because we have a lot of guys from San Antonio, so that's another discussion. There's a team called the Burritos who plays um, another stuff, but they aren't a part of the NABLL, which I think they need to strongly consider it because I think 4 or 5 guys drive up from San Antonio for our games and or practices and stuff. So I know that there's some interest down there, but I just don't know if they are willing to play in a actual organized league or if it's more of a men's league pickup type deal.
how far is San Antonio?
It's about an hour and 45 minutes
So,
south.
so it's not too bad, but it's a drive.
Yeah, it's a commitment. So that's I think some of the struggle and the talent we have out of San Antonio is uh very helpful for us and hopefully we don't lose them, but it would be cool to have another team and be able to play against those guys eventually. But it's all once we cross that, we got to cross that bridge once we get there
Yeah.
because I don't
No,
want to.
you don't want to push anybody out, but like you said, it
Yeah,
sounds like
exactly.
right now, I mean, really you're going about getting box lacrosse experience the best way you're going to, which is everybody keeps playing with each other because there's no I don't know, nothing replaces experience of doing it. You know, you can have thousands of hours of thinking about something and it's really not the same as the time on the field. Anything you do is just that, and then you kind of pass it down to the next guy. So
Hmm.
hopefully it does continue to grow, and you guys will be able to kind of, maybe get two teams out of Austin because that would be even better. Then you don't have to travel at all.
Yeah, I would really enjoy us doing that, and we'll see. Well, I think that
I mean,
this year's going to be
Maryland,
exciting.
Maryland, they've got the BLL, so it's like the Baltimore, Maryland, DC. They've got a four-team pickup league that our house league essentially that runs all winter, and then in the summertime, those guys each form like their own teams. That's what the arrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so you've got the arrows. Like they've got a. It's a very interesting setup. I like the way they do it, and they all play in one spot now. So the Virginia, the Golden Bears, and everybody they go meet at this facility. I think it's Thursday nights they do it, and so what is there four teams and they all play each other. So like two teams will play one night and then two teams will play the same night and then the next week they flip it and everybody just plays each other and that's how they do their whole season. I love the way they've got it
oh
set
wow,
up down there.
that sounds like a really fun way to do it. And I definitely am gonna propose that to the guys in Austin, or if we can get enough guys to do that, because I definitely think that there's enough guys in Austin to have 2 teams, but it would be like barely full rosters, that kind of thing. That's I think another struggle we have is and why I keep saying the commitment thing is like we have a ton of guys who are affiliated with the Scorpions, but just can't commit to a full season or can't commit to
That's the
showing
hardest
up
part of
or going to
semi-pro is
Chicago or whatever it is. We have guys who play every season game or every home game, but just can't commit to traveling ever. And so that's part of what we need to decide as a program is like, hey, are we going to have this and I think we discussed that a little bit this year is like a travel squad. And then this is like our starting roster squad or, just having those different, uh,
yeah, having different
kind of,
levels and
yeah, like A, B, and C team
it's
kind of thing, but not in the skill way.
so like when you see what the spirits and they're sitting eight guys a game for nationals. That is crazy level of commitment. Nate has done some crazy stuff up there with that Thousand Islands team.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I think that when you have something like that, it really takes somebody who's committed off the field as far as managing it, and that's something that we could really learn from, and that we don't do a good job of is like, uh, what's the word? Planning practices, getting guys to come out and like, I don't know how well they do that, but it seems like that from what I know, a lot of these other teams like the Wild have some sort of practice and run things where they kind of grow that team camaraderie and we only do that when we play in games or tournaments. We don't really have very many practices or just team shoots or whatever, and that's something that we could really get better at and develop our game that way is team camaraderie and learning, yo, what is this guy good at? What can I do with him on the field, or what can I can what can I rely him with can I rely on him to get the slide or things like that, and that's something is getting to know because we have new guys come in every year, and getting to know the guys and how they play and their play style is always part of it. And by the end of the year, we were killing it. We got to know everybody who our strong guys were. We had this a guy who was what 18 who was just destroying it on offense. Can't remember his name right now. He was a new guy, but he was literally 18 years old, just throwing around grown men, and he was like, we're excited for that kind of talent to come in who just are just grinders, but we need to learn how to manage that off the field. I think,
Yeah,
and
no,
like these other
that's
teams.
That's huge. And yeah, the Wheat Kings had another 17-year-old kid there. They had to have his parents sign the waiver for him to
Oh,
get out there.
really? I
Yeah,
didn't know about that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
The Gus Bus is
Oh, that's a
yeah,
great name. Great
yeah.
name.
That kid is awesome. He's going somewhere. But like you get an 18-year-old kid, he is not going to get that kind of reps anywhere else playing against grown men
Oh,
like you get.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
the
nowhere.
biggest thing I think, actually Matt Johnson pointed out to me once is the rebounds. So like the amount of rebounds in front of the net, you can't replicate that in field lacrosse. Like it's not the same as
Mm.
chasing. The goalies don't have the big leg pads it's hitting. It's not bouncing off all the bodies in front, quite like it does. Now, I
Well,
mean,
or it's going out of bounds,
yeah,
and it's a change of possession. I've never really thought about that, but yeah, it's so many ground balls grinding and
ground
that's
balls are the
rough.
biggest thing, and
Yeah.
that's where you find like teams that I find whenever they're playing a team that's way out better than them, that they're not supposed to win essentially. Whenever you talk to any of the coaches that have lots of experience, they always say it comes down to the ground ball battle, because if we can keep possession, I don't care how good they, I almost knocked my green screen over, but I don't care how
Sorry.
good they are, they can't score if they don't have the ball. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And just
That's how
kind of
that reminds me a lot of my high school coach, and it's all about fundamentals, at the end of the day. If you can pass and catch and keep the ball in your possession, the other team can't score. Mike got muted.
I did it again. And so I've done that a couple times. And like I told you, it's been an hour. We've been talking already. It
Oh,
flies.
wow. Is it
Yeah.
really? Oh,
It,
wow.
it flies
Jeez.
by on this. Everybody's always like, man, I don't think I could talk for an hour. And I'm like, trust me, by the time you get done telling me about your team, and like, cause like everybody has different intricacies in how they play. And like, it's like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit from this team. I'm going to take a little bit from this team. And I like how they do that. And it's always great. I love to hear that it's growing down there, because you guys having enough that way maybe we consider two teams. Well, instead of two teams, now it turns into just like the inter squad scrimmage, and we have our A team and B team. And A team isn't maybe necessarily the most talented, but A team's the committed guys that are going to show up,
Mhm.
and we know they're going to be there at nationals. So it's more important that they play together, and then the other guys fill in and play around them. It's
Yeah, I
all.
think you hit the nail right on the head. That's actually something I'm gonna steal that from you if you don't mind. That's perfect.
Yeah, I get to hang out with a lot of guys that do a lot of cool things. And that's the other thing. I don't know if you know much about hockey. I got lucky. I had two Hall of Famers coach me in hockey. I had Barry Melrose and
Oh,
Glenn
wow.
Murkowski grow up. I
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
know the Melrose name. I don't know a lot about hockey, but I know I've heard that name before.
yeah, he's ESPN and everything. I grew up with
Yeah,
his kid played hockey with us, so we got to
that's
be,
awesome.
yeah. So we had like next level coaching, and a lot of their philosophies transfer over. I mean, he coached
Yeah, yeah,
Gretzky. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
just, yeah, coaching people
I
and,
think the most similar sport to compare to box lacrosse is hockey, as far as X's and O's.
yeah, yeah. And really the defensive positioning and the pressure and the angles of the shot and everything are the same. I just honestly haven't watched much hockey since I found box lacrosse, because I find hockey sloppy now with the stick, because like lacrosse, it's in
Interesting.
somebody's stick. It's not, um, it's just it's more of a
It's
pretty
less of
finesse
a less
game.
of a chance, like less of a gamble. I think that's something that hockey has is like that ice is so unpredictable, and like that's almost another like a team like or another
Yeah,
like
it's
someone
another
playing.
factor. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
another
just that
factor. Yeah.
next. Yeah, no, it is, and I do like that for playing purposes, but for watching, I love the high scoring of box lacrosse. I
Hmm.
love the yeah, just the physical. It's got all of my favorite parts of hockey with more goals, and I'm just like, okay, this is perfect as a fan to watch.
Well, and I think part of it, thinking about it myself, is like, oh, I can maybe do that. Like you like in hockey, like growing up. I mean, it's different for you probably, but like I watch hockey. I'm like, how in the hell do they do that on ice skates and like this and that and the other? But I watch someone do a jump dive 360 behind the back, and it's like, oh yeah, I understand how they did that.
I can handle that.
Yeah, I can dive. I can spin around and throw a ball, but on ice, it's different. But yeah, I think it's been a good talk, and I'm excited to potentially do this again and just be a little more prepared. It's because I was honestly expecting this to be tomorrow, and so I
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
I
Well, we
hope
might
I
as well
lived
tell
up to the
everybody how
expectation.
this yeah, so like I had been texting who runs the Instagram account? Is it?
It's Chris. It's our buddy Chris Rodriguez,
All right.
who's on the team. He's a great guy.
So Chris runs the Instagram account. Chris sends me your email. So
Yeah.
I was like I wasn't sure if there was going to be one of you or a bunch of you. So I sent you the email earlier. I sent you a message on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a link
Oh, did
around."
you? I probably went to.
It went right
I'm
to
so like particular with my messages and stuff. Even my email, it went. Both of them went to spam, and I feel like an asshole for it.
No,
Okay,
it's all
wait.
good because that's I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, I sent him the email like a half hour ago and he still hasn't responded."
Yeah, they were texting me, and I was like, oh crap, I thought it was tomorrow. I was totally ready for Wednesday, like, but yeah, I'm glad we got it to get it taken care of, and we got to spend some time together. And next time you need somebody on, holler my way, and I'll definitely be more prepared. I was expecting to have God with me too, but he couldn't make it.
All right. Well, we are definitely going to do it again. The only reason we
Awesome.
couldn't bump it back to tomorrow is because I will be in Utica doing Yeti Talks live tomorrow. Otherwise, I would have been
Awesome.
like, yeah, let's bump it back tomorrow. But
No worries, but I appreciate you waiting for me, and yeah, I'll be tuning in tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out.
absolutely. All right, everybody, it's a blast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys
Bye,
next week.
everybody. See ya.